Yes, guys, and welcome back to the Reprogram Your Mind podcast. This is episode 9. I want to start this episode, as always, by saying thank you for being here and giving me your time, which, as I always say, is your most valuable commodity. It's the one thing that nobody else can give us, and we certainly won't ever get back. So I'm going to actually open today's podcast with a little bit of a message about that. So thank you for watching the previous episodes. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for starting to build help to build what is a really, really important project for me. Now, when I talk about time, and we'll never ever get time back, and nobody else can give it to us. It's much like very often be our health and being in great physical shape. Like, no one can give that to you. You can't have a great body without earning it. You can't buy one. Well, you can buy some things in terms of great bodies, but generally being fit, healthy, and being lean and having a great internal engine, shall we say, you can't buy that. You can't go and buy some abs. You can't buy some muscular arms and chest. You can't buy the ability to run a marathon. You have to work towards those things. And that's why for me a great physique is a great status symbol, because it shows you're hardworking, it shows you're disciplined, it shows you're consistent. No one can give it to you. You can't buy it, and you can't even really hold on to it without continuing to do the work. So when I talk about time in the same context, and I actually use this with an example as someone who inquired for my body transformation plan last week. I'm going off on a tangent here already, but he's literally been inquiring for over a year. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. And he waits until he gets in a position of pain and he's struggling, and he sends me a message and he says, "Lee, I need your help. I'm struggling with all these things, and I've always wanted a body like yours, and I'm getting married in a year, and it's so important to me, and X, Y, and Z." And we have a little bit of a chat, and then Patrick Swayze, ghost for maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks. Or what will happen is I'll send him a message a week later and I'll say, "Hey X, are we closing the file on this, or do you want to go ahead and achieve everything that you said in the message last week?" "Yeah, I'm just a bit busy at the minute, mate. I've just got a lot on. I've thought about it and I'm not quite sure I've got the headspace." And all that happens when people do that, what it means is they've moved ever so slightly out of the position of pain, because maybe the hangover's gone, the come down, the weekend out, the uncomfortable wedding when they felt fat in the suit. And it's like, that pain's eased 25%. So I'll just go back to the life that I've had until it gets bad again. And then I'll drop Lee a message. Honestly, on my Facebook page, it's hilarious. There's some people that have literally been doing this since 2015, 10 years. So time you will never get back. And one person in this camp actually came on board last week because I sent them a really simple message. I said, "Hey X, have you forgotten on this?" He said, "Oh no, I've just been busy. I'm sorry I've not got back to you." And he said that last time. And he said, "Yeah, I know. And I said, "Do you know what's going to happen here?" And he said, "No." I went, "You're going to keep messaging me for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, like you have done for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, telling me how you want your dream body, telling me how you want to start your business, telling me how you want to heal your mental health, tell me how you want your dream life, tell me all these things you've told me 100 times before, and then you're going to disappear and you're not going to take action because you got busy, and then you're going to be dead." Sounds harsh, right? But that is the reality of what will happen to that human and thousands of others if they don't take action. "I was too busy to do what I wanted to do, and then I was dead." That's what I want the line of this training to be for you to remember. Because if you keep avoiding action, if you keep not doing the work, if you keep not doing what you said you would, which we discussed about in the 10 levels of elite care, which is integrity, eventually you're just going to be where you are, and then you're going to die with all your dreams not achieved, with nothing but regret, still feeling overweight, still feeling overwhelmed, still not started the business, still not got the dream body, still not got the dream relationship, because you kept getting busy. And this is why time is so important. We can't get it back. Get started now, get perfect later. Like, there is never going to be a right time to start a business, to start a relationship, to end a business, to hire a new member of staff, to fire a new member of staff, to start going to the gym. There is never going to be a right time. Just get started. Like, perfectionism and waiting for the perfect time is literally like the lowest level of fear. It's just a smokescreen. That's all it is. What can I keep doing to put it off a little bit longer because I know it's going to be painful? Well, the reality is eventually that time will just run out. And I'm sure you don't want to be that person. So that builds us nicely into the title of today's episode, which is called The Victim or the Warrior. Which identity are you living in? So be honest with yourself. Are you living as a victim or are you living as a warrior? Now, this isn't about shaming anyone. This is about awareness. Because most people live their whole life as a victim. And you might be listening to this thinking that's a bit of a harsh word. And it can be a harsh word because you can be a victim of some very, very, very serious things. That's not the context that I mean it. I mean as in how you treat yourself. So which role do you play? Because a victim believes that life happens to them, that they're powerless, that they're not in control. A warrior believes that life happens for him and him or her. And in whatever situation, there's always a gift, there's always a lesson, there's always a blessing, there's always a miracle. And everything is just a journey of things we learn from because we take action, we show up and we move forward. So a warrior believes they're in the driver's seat of the car. They believe the pen is in their hand. They believe the keys are in their hand. And they're in charge of everything that happens each day. And they only focus on what they can control and what they can change. Everything else is just noise. So that's when you start to play the leading role in your own life. That's when you start to play the lead man or woman in the blockbuster movie that is your life. And this is when you become a warrior. Because the opposite is, and this is also the difference between empowerment and disempowerment. So if you focus on things that you can't control, if you focus on things that you can't change, and we're going to come on to some stories and some personal stories, then you will always feel weak. This is why people end up depressed, because they can't see a compelling vision of their future, because they don't even believe it exists, because they believe that someone else is in charge of it. Our whole life is laid out for us by someone else. No, it's not. It's laid out by you and your actions. Show me your habits and your actions for the next 12 months and I'll show you the life that you live in. That guy will no doubt still be sniffing cocaine, still drinking alcohol, still thinking about starting the business, still thinking about getting his dream body. And then he'll have a really bad weekend and he'll send me that same message in a different wording. And then he'll go back to his life once the pain's eased a little bit. So again, he's not in control of his life. He's just getting up and he's fighting fires every day. And he's not taking action. And he keeps saying he wants to do things and then he doesn't. And then everyone in his life, including me, will start to lose trust in him. We'll start to see him as a person who doesn't really have integrity. Yeah, he messages me all the time and says he wants this, but he never does anything about it. Eventually, I just zone those people out, whether it's personal or professionally, because they're never going to take the action because they're too stuck in playing the victim and life happens for them. So, as I said, this isn't about shaming anyone. This is about having an awareness now. Am I doing this? Because damn right, if I asked you that question now, do you want to be the victim or do you want to be the warrior? You'd ultimately want to be the warrior, right? So the warrior's in the driver's seat, the warrior has the key in his hand, and the warrior only focuses on things he can't change. So even in the most absurd situations, so personal stories I could go through, breaking my neck, when I was suicidal, when I was depressed, like my mum dying when I was 6 months old, my dad abandoning me. I could go through I could list you a whole host of examples, right? When I played the victim. So again, I'm being honest with you guys here. Like, I used to believe that, everything was my fault, that things happened to me because I wasn't enough, because I wasn't lovable, because I wasn't worthy. And I lived my life as that victim. Like, I didn't feel like I was in charge. And I used to focus on things that I can't change. Like, can I change anything that's happened before I just click my fingers? Can I fog? So if I focus on it, I'm always going to feel weak. I'm always going to feel helpless. This is why none of my clients watch the news or read newspapers, because you're just going to be filled with fear. You can't control or change the government. You can't control or change the economy. So if you sit in a little pity party all day talking about the things and the people that you can't change and what's wrong in the world and the NHS and the cost of living and immigration and X, Y, and Z, you are not living your life. You're focusing on a load of situations and circumstances that you can't control or change. And you will just live in a victim mindset. So let's talk about the different areas, because I want you to be brutally honest right now, because what I'm about to share changed my life and it will change yours too. So the identity that you choose, the victim or the warrior, will shape every thought, action and habit that leads to the results in your life. So when people become seriously depressed to a level they're suicidal, which was where I was, all I focused on was things that I couldn't change. So you're completely stuck, and eventually you fall into a mental state of what's called learned hopelessness. So you've basically taught yourself to believe you're hopeless, that there is no hope, that nothing is ever going to change, that you can't do anything about it. And that's a horrific place to be. And I've been there. So if you're there, I get it and I feel you. But now's your time to realize, okay, I'm listening to someone who's telling me that it doesn't have to be that way. Because when you're a victim, you don't have goals, you don't have a mission, you don't have purpose, and you don't rise to your goals. You fall to the identity that you've created. So I've lived both worlds, blaming my past, blaming my parents, blaming life, blaming my job, blaming my partner, blaming anything on this fucking earth that I could find to blame, so I couldn't make it my fault. That's what a victim does. They don't take ownership, they don't take responsibility, and they don't take action. Now, my promise in this episode is that by the end of this one, you'll know which identity you're living in. And you'll either know, one, how to shift from victim to warrior, or semi-warrior to full warrior, or full warrior to unbreakable warrior. So the victim identity. So we're trapped in a mindset of life happens to me. Always blaming circumstances, always too busy, always thinking it's different for you, always saying, I can't because X. Like, I could list so many examples. I can't get in shape because I have children. No, get in shape because you have children. I can't get in shape because I can't get to the gym. Bullshit, go for a run. I can't lose weight because expensive food's too expensive. Bullshit. It's not expensive. You could just eat half of what you're eating now and save half the money, and you drop a fuck ton of body weight without even going to a gym. Like, victims make up reasons to avoid taking action, and they're focused on the problems, not the solutions. And then they feel powerless and they feel stuck. Any single parent, any single person with no income, any single person with the most horrific past story on this earth can still get up tomorrow morning, drink a litre of water when they get up, do some stretches and go for a run. Even if they've got a newborn child, when it's asleep, they can run round and round and round and round and round the garden. If a 90-year-old man can do it in lockdown, I'm sure you can, Captain Tom. So A victim will then also feel that life isn't fair. Life's different for them. All rich people are evil. People in our family have never achieved this. Everyone in our family's always been big. No one in our family's ever had their own business. No one in our family's ever been to university. Good things don't happen to people like us. That's the story they tell, and that story keeps them stuck. I'll start when I have the headspace. I'll start when I've got more time in the diary. I'll start after insert anything your mind will find to stop you starting because it's painful. So the impact of this is it keeps you trapped in the past. It keeps you playing low level. It keeps you stuck. And deep down you like that because it's comfortable. Okay? But over time, what that comfort leads to is it creates anxiety. It creates resentment. It creates low energy, low mood, stress, drifting through life on autopilot, like you're just sat in that passenger seat and someone else is driving the car and you have absolutely no control over what happens in the future. And then what this does, unfortunately, is it attracts more negativity. It attracts more negative people, and you become a peer group of victims who want to sit at the bottom of the mountain talking about the guy at the top of the mountain and how it's different for him. I don't know why I looked up there. That's not a mountain, but hey ho. So a personal example of where I lived in the past was when I was stuck, when I was going out every weekend, when I was basically drinking too much. I was taking drugs. I was sniffing coke at gigs on a weekend. I was not sleeping. I was still working very hard and I had a really, really successful career, but I was not really getting to the gym, and I was spending more time talking about the life that I didn't have rather than working towards the life that I wanted. And then every time it got too much, every time the weekend was too heavy, every time I got into too much trouble, every time my life started to go backwards as a result of my own actions. Why did I have low energy, low mood, and I was depressed? Well, I wasn't born that way, was I? It might have been the not sleeping from Saturday through to Sunday tea time. It might have been the narcotics that I was putting in my body. It might have been the junk food that I was eating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in order to recover. It might have been the people that I was hanging around with who also loved doing that to escape their soul-sucking lives. It might have been that I had no mission, no purpose, no drive, no goals. Might have been all of those things. The low mood comes from somewhere, guys. Low energy comes from somewhere. It either comes from the actions you take or the people you're spending time with. So this is what we need to change. And then every time it got too much, oh, I get drunk because my dad abandoned me. Oh, I get drunk because I'm still grieving my mum dying when I was 6 months old. Oh, I get drunk because my boss isn't fair. Oh, I get drunk because people never treat me well. Oh, I get drunk because something my ex did when I was 17. Anything to avoid taking ownership. Anything to avoid taking action. Anything to avoid taking responsibility. Because you know this, and so does a warrior. The cost of ownership, the cost of responsibility, is that you then have to adapt your behavior, your habits, and your actions in line with your new insight. So instead of saying, I do cocaine because I'm depressed, I do cocaine because my mum died when I was 6 months old, I drink alcohol because I hate my job, I drink alcohol because I'm in an unhappy marriage, I eat junk food because of something that happened when I was 15. Somebody said that to me this week. The reason why I'm addicted to sugar, this lady who inquired, was in her 60s. She has a belief that the reason that she overeats sugar and junk food is because of something that happened when she was 15. She's carried that victim belief for 45 fucking years. What an example that is. And there's millions of examples like that. Because that blame, that low energy is easier to do that, because when you take ownership, when you take responsibility, you then have to adapt your behavior in line with your new insights. So you can't say, actually, I've realized that drugs are the problem, not my past, and then carry on taking drugs, because that makes you a fucking idiot. You can't say, actually, the reason that I eat food and eat lots of food is because I'm lonely, I'm unhappy, and it's my only reason that makes me feel good, but I know I need to stop it to move forward, and then carry on eating junk food. You can't say, actually, I'm boozing because I hate my life, but I keep not doing anything about it, and rather than blaming it on my past, and then change. So when you decide that I'm taking ownership, I'm taking responsibility, I'm not telling this bullshit story about why it's different for me anymore and playing the victim, I have to change. And most people don't want to, because staying the same is easier than changing. But I'm guessing the fact that you're watching me right now means that you do. So let's move forward and let's talk about the traits of a warrior mindset. Life happens for me. For me. Everything is a gift. I could list right now, I'm not going to, because I want to make this all about me, even though it's my podcast and my story is the only one that I have to tell this through, but I can see my mum dying when I was 6 months old as a gift. Okay, because she's still with me. She's still my North Star. I can see my dad abandon me at the main time as a gift, because it made me strong. It made me learn how to be a man. It made me learn how to stand on my own 2 feet. It made me the man that I am today. Without any of that adversity, do you think I would be as strong as I am today? So I can go back and I say thank you. Had my dad not been that way, could I not? Would I have been as good a dad as I am now? Probably not. So I can always look for the gift in every situation. Okay? Every single thing there's a gift. When I had my big operation on my nose and I couldn't do any form of talking in my business for 3 months, it was a gift, because we built a system that sold without having to get on the phone. There's always a lesson. There's always a gift. You know, even in a relationship ending situation, oh, she left me because it was all about me and I'm not good enough and I'm not lovable and X, Y, and Z. Or no, she wasn't worthy of my love. She wasn't the one. And now she's made space for me to find the woman that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. So to that bitch, thank you. Same situation, different meaning. Depends the meaning and the perspective we give to it. One's a warrior perspective, one's a victim perspective. Whichever seat you sit in will lead to the life that you live. A warrior takes 100% responsibility, even for things that are outside of their control. Okay, I couldn't control that happening to me. What can I learn from it? What was the lesson? What was the gift? What's the magic in this situation that I haven't yet realised? That's my favourite fucking question in the whole world. Next time the worst thing in the world happens to you, what lesson did you learn? What was the gift? There is one. Whether you choose to look for it depends whether you're a warrior or a victim. Because the warrior goes, that was fucking shit, that. What did I learn? How do we apply it moving forward? What why lesson apply? What happened? Why did it happen? What was the lesson? How do I apply it moving forwards? That's what the warrior does. The victim says, oh, I can't believe that happened. How can I make it all about me and use it as the reason why I'm sad? So the warrior seeks solutions, he seeks lessons, and he seeks growth in every challenge. The obstacle is the way. If you haven't read that book by Ryan Holiday, go and read it. In fact, go and read everything by Ryan Holiday, because he's a fucking legend. The obstacle is the way. We grow through adversity. The strength comes from the challenge. It comes through going through tough things. The mental strength that I have today is a result of all the shit that I've been through, which is why I'm against raising a generation of snowflakes who avoid challenge. They look for easy. Because when you don't go through hard, you'll never become hard, because you'll never need to be. Then when hard comes up, you won't know how to handle it. So the language of a warrior is very different, because they choose empowerment over excuses. What can I do about it? What's the gift in the situation? What can I do to make this better? And the impact this has on the person is they build confidence, they build resilience, and they build momentum, even in tough situations. Like COVID's a great example. People either went, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. This is the new norm. This is Boris's fault. Let's all get fucking angry about everything. Or they went, how can I use this to my advantage? What's the lesson here? What am I learning? What do I need to do to move forward? How do I start to use this to my advantage? And millions and millions and millions of people to do that and like supersize their life in lockdown. Some people got in the most incredible shape of their life in lockdown. So a warrior attracts opportunities because their focus is constantly on solutions and growth, and this creates alignment. You might have heard this one once or twice before on a Lee Freeman podcast, a Lee Freeman reel, a Lee Freeman book, or a Lee Freeman private mindset mastery coaching session. Thoughts lead to beliefs. Beliefs lead to actions, and your actions lead to your results, or your personal reality, or your experience of life. So if you are thinking like a victim, saying things like, why does this always happen to me? It didn't happen to you. It just happened. And then we move to, it happened for me. Why did this happen? What can I learn from it? What was the lesson? And how do I apply it moving forwards? And that will then become your beliefs. So then you start to believe that life happens for you. And then you start to behave like life happens for you. And that's that person who's gliding through life and adversity just bounces off them because they just grab the lesson from it and carry on going. They don't allow it to knock them down. So, again, a personal example for me, again, how you can start to build a warrior mindset is by forcing yourself to do tough things, not through waiting for them to happen. A victim waits for things to happen and then they respond. I seek out adversity. I seek out challenge and I seek out pain, because when I'm willing to go through it, life becomes easy. Train hard, fight easy. Again, a personal example would be the big runs, like the 200-mile run. Do you think a marathon now seems easy or tough? It's like a 5K, because I seeked out the tough end. I did the hard things when no one was watching. The same in my business, the same in my personal life, same in my mental health. Okay? So you can choose adversity, you can choose pain, you can choose challenge, and you can choose the warrior mindset to go through them. So we will also fluctuate between the two. I go back to a victim mindset sometimes. Generally, at the minute, probably the thing that I go, which will be quite weird with you guys watching this, that I go back into a victim mindset about is not really understanding social media. But if I added up the amount of hours that I've spent actually trying to learn social media versus trying to learn coaching and mindset, it's probably about a 1 to 100% charge difference. I'll say, there's guys in their 20s who aren't even on the same fucking scale as me as a coach, yet they have more clients and they have millions more followers and they do all this stuff and they're basically doing better than me in life for no other reason than that they're better at social media. Great story that, isn't it, to avoid learning about social media. So I have two options now. I can either play the victim and say, well, it's just because they're younger and they're better at social media and that's why they're doing better than me. Or I can go, right, get fucking good at social media, combine the two, and then smash the fuck out of them. Because they can't buy my 20 years experience, but I can fucking buy their social media skills if I'm willing to do the work. Or I can keep playing the victim and telling the story about how it's different for me and I don't use social media. Make sense? Another great example here. The classic DJ still moaning about how people are playing on laptops and CDJ 1000s because they're vinyl purists. They'll continue to tell the story about, how they're purists and how the scene's changed and how everything's bad because people film videos when they're in nightclubs and things. That story's keeping them stuck. If they want to have the career that they want, you have to change. You have to adapt and change with the times. Evolve or die. You either evolve as a human or you're going to stay stuck. And again, this is why comfort zones are dangerous, because you move towards a place of maintenance, right? Doesn't exist because time moves on. So you can keep saying, when I get to 15 stone, I'll be happy. When I'm doing 100 grand a year, I'll be happy. So I'm just going to work to that. And then when I get there, I'll be safe. But you won't, because unless you're moving forwards, you're going to start moving backwards. That maintenance thing that people think exists, it simply doesn't. So how do we shift from a victim to a warrior? Step one is you take radical responsibility right here, right now. Own everything in your life. Even if it's unfair, own it. If you're a fucking mess right now, own it. If you can't handle your weekend behavior, own it. If you're struggling with social anxiety, own it. If you fucking wank at doing reels on social media, own it. If you're stuck in the dinosaur ages, own it. If you're bald, short, own it. If you're struggling right now, own the fact that you're struggling. Because power comes from responsibility, not blame. I'll say this for the 500th time, even more. 2 things. If you take 2 things away from this podcast, from every episode that I've ever filmed, from the hundreds and hundreds of free other videos that are on YouTube, from being part of Mindset Mastery if you're a client, there's probably 6, 7, 800 hours worth of learning that's available for free, and probably again the same within my paid programs and the same within my high level coaching. If you take 2 things away from that, I guarantee they'll change your life. 2 one-liners. Anything you can't say thank you for will always keep you stuck. And, hang on, I've forgotten the other one. No, I'm only joking. Okay? As long as you are continuing to blame anyone for anything in your life, you're always going to stay stuck. Just those 2 things. Anything you can't say thank you for will always keep you stuck. As long as you're continuing to blame anyone or anything for the circumstances in your life, you're always going to stay stuck. If you take those 2 truths and apply them, that's what radical responsibility is. That's how we reframe adversity. Then everything in your life will move forward. So what better questions can we ask? Not why did this happen? What's the gift in this? Why did this happen to me? It didn't happen to me, it just happened. What's the lesson? Train yourself to see the lessons in pain. Train yourself to see the gift in adversity. And step 3 is building warrior habits. So 1, take radical responsibility. 2, reframe the adversity. It wasn't about you, that's your ego. Step 3, build warrior habits. Morning gratitude, going for a walk, exercising, making sure you place your attention on your intention, goal setting, creating meaning, purpose and mission, refusing to blame other people. Focus on what you can control. If you take those 2 lines and you take 7 days from watching this podcast and go, right, I'm only going to focus on what I can control. Here's a real example, right? I can go into a victim mindset about little fucking Johnny from Dubai who's coaching and he's 21 years old and he's got 2.2 million followers and he's already made the same amount in pounds, and it's not fair because he's younger than me and he doesn't have my knowledge and life's not fair and I hate social media. I've actually done all of that, by the way. Or maybe I could go on his Instagram and I could look at it and say, what could I learn from little 22-year-old Johnny with his 22.2 million followers? Maybe there's a whole fucking page full of lessons there that I could learn from when I've stopped thinking it's different for me, when I've stopped moaning, when I've stopped blaming, when I've stopped justifying. Guys, everything that I've talked about today, if you're feeling fucking wounded now and like I'm punching you in the face and throwing bullets and slating you and preaching, I've done all of it myself, and I still do all of it myself most days at some point. Life's a journey, not a destination. So, number 4 for a warrior. So these are the 4 things, is your environment of your standards. Unless you want to be a fucking loser, stop hanging around with fucking losers. Unless you want to take drugs, stop hanging around with people that take drugs. Unless you want to keep drinking, stop hanging around with people that keep drinking. Unless you want to be a fat fuck of a lazy person who does nothing but feel sorry for themselves and throw themselves a pity party, stop hanging around with lazy fat fucks who are having a pity party. Stop putting the world to rights with fucking idiots who shouldn't be in your life. Sounds harsh, right? You will become the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Conformity, okay, is powerful. The power of proximity. You will become who you spend time with. So protect that like your fucking life and your future depends on it. Surround yourself with warriors, not victims. Like, why do you think I pay 25 grand a year to be in a mentorship? Because it's full of fucking warriors, that's why. I pay to play. I pay to get around the right people. I can't find those people in Tesco's at Clown. I might find a smidgen of those people in local gyms, but not really the level that I want to play at. So do the same. Invest to get around the right people. Even if your husband or wife is that person at the minute, have an honest conversation with them. Unless you want to be surrounded by misery for the rest of your life and have your kids surrounded by misery. Be honest. Refuse to tolerate it. I don't tolerate negative people in my life. I don't tolerate them in my coaching plan. 5 people got booted out of my coaching plan this week. Not ended, not cancelled their contracts, not decided not to carry on. Told them it's not time for them anymore. I don't want them in the plan. 3, 4, 5 chances. If not, you're gone. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And sooner or later, if I get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that are just making excuses every week, making it my fault, making it other people's fault, making it the past fault, that starts to take my energy. And no one's having that. Not even paying clients are having that. Be kind, be empathetic, be compassionate. Don't go home to your husband tonight and say, listen, you fucking negative twat, sort this out or we're getting divorced. There's a way to do it. Listen, can you imagine how much more energetic our life would be if we could just start to focus on this? Listen, I listened to this podcast and it had a real impact on my life. How could we possibly listen to it together? Listen, I never really knew I never knew anything about meaning, purpose and goal setting. Why don't we set some goals for ourselves? Would you be open to that? Listen, I really want to, start dating each other once a month. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Let's revisit our first date and plan it in 4 weeks' time. Do you want to do that? And if they answer no to all those things, once you've said it 3, 4, 5 times, just like those clients, it's time to go. Unless that's the life you want. I don't tolerate excuses and I don't tolerate low energy people in my life. Okay? It's about standards. It's about surrounding yourself with warriors, not victims. And it's about raising your own standards. So recap: 1, radical responsibility. Own everything, good or bad. Reframe adversity. What's the gift in every situation? What, why, lesson, apply. What happened? Why did it happen? What was the lesson? How are you going to apply it moving forwards? Train yourself to see the lessons, not the pain. Build warrior habits, morning gratitude, attention setting, and making sure you're focused on what you can control. Step 4, environments and standards. Surround yourself with warriors, not victims. That's my 4-step guide to becoming a warrior, not a victim. Around all the other stuff as well. But again, it's a daily process. So don't expect to just watch this podcast, become a warrior and live happy ever after. These are little things that you can take out and apply them every day. If you start blaming other people, just note it down, journal it. Ownership, radical responsibility. Okay? So, audit your identity today. Be honest. Are you living as a victim or are you living as a warrior? And if it's a victim, are you ready to change? If so, let's go. Life changes the moment that you take responsibility for everything in it, and not until that point. The victim is powerless and the warrior is unstoppable. Ask yourself that question today. Do you want to be the unstoppable warrior, take control of everything in life, or do you want to keep playing the role of the powerless victim? Because that's a decision and that's a choice. And the choices and the decisions that you make from this point onwards are what will shape your future. Guys, thank you for listening. As always, if you're ready to reprogram your mind and step fully into the warrior identity, you can join us at any point within Mindset Mastery. As I said, we've got hundreds more trainings like this. This is the work we do every day. There's a message every day. There's a pattern interrupt every day. And you've got me in your corner constantly pointing you in the right direction. Lee at freemanfitness.co.uk. Lee Freeman UK on Instagram, or search me on Facebook. If you can't find me, you're a fucking idiot, and don't apply. Drop me a message and we'll send you the details. We've also got a huge community of people. So going back into point 4, environment and standards. If you want to get around the right people, get around a plan that's full of the right people. And both Mindset Mastery and Unbreakable are. Big love. Speak soon. Be a warrior.